Welcome to this new episode. Today we're going to find out what difference does a world-class suspension make on track. How does the bike feel? What performance improvement do we get? How much does it cost? I will answer all these questions today. I will also give you my full setting for the forks and the shock after a full day testing on track. So a few months back, I did a few track days with my completely standard road bike, 100% standard. Now, the results were quite good, managed to do some decent lap times, but now it's time to try and get a little bit closer to MotoGP feeling and MotoGP feedback. I have equipped my standard GSX-R1000R with some new suspensions. Now, this brand comes from Sweden and it equips almost every single bike on the MotoGP grid. Of course, we're talking about ÖHLINS. So I have been using ÖHLINS for most of my racing career, and throughout my testing role at Suzuki MotoGP, we have been testing a lot of different upgrades. Recently, you've seen, for example, the carbon tubes. This is something that appears in the last few years, and now almost every MotoGP rider uses it. We also get to test a lot of stuff that you actually can't see. ÖHLINS is forever pushing the boundaries of technology, always looking for improvements, and it's absolutely fantastic to be part of this development work. Now let's take a closer look at the suspensions I've got on the bike. So in the front, we've got the FKR100 spring pressurized cartridge kit. With this kit, we can adjust the suspension in a similar way that we do in MotoGP. So we can adjust the spring strengths, we can adjust the compression, we can adjust the rebound, we can adjust the preload, and we can also adjust the oil level. In the rear, we've got the ÖHLINS Etx Gp Shock. Now again, just like his name says, this is a very similar technology to what we use in MotoGP. We can adjust about everything. We can adjust the spring strength, the preload, the compression, the damping, the length of the shock. So there is a lot of parameters there that we can set up. In the front, we also have the ÖHLINS steering damper. So this steering damper is adjustable. We've got about 16 clicks of different setup. So I will be experiencing with that today. So we've done the first couple of runs, and yes, only 2 runs of about 5 laps each. Just to run the tires in, I had new brake pads as well, and I'm already quite a bit faster. Now the feeling as well is much improved. I mean, the bike just feels really planted, and as I was telling Andy when I came back, we're still not 100% with the setup, so we've just done some modifications on the setup. The way I felt, a bit too much support on the brakes. Andy suggested to go for a softer spring in the front. We've also took a bit of oil off. So this is to improve the stroke at the bottom. The rear shock, immediately the feeling is really good compared to standard. A lot of support. I felt that a lot in turn 1 in Gerard's. The bike just feels a lot more planted. As you can see, well, you can't see it, but the tires are still not really running on the left side. So I mean, there's still a lot more to come with this. So I'm not surprised with the feeling. The feeling is actually very good straight away, and I was expecting this. But I'm quite surprised with the lap time because I haven't ridden this bike for a few months now, and it actually didn't feel like I was pushing that hard. And also, I think we got quite a bit of margin, so I'm very happy with this. Andy, what do you think of the feedback? Were you expecting this?
I'm pleased it's positive. Lap time's good. We need to work a little bit with the front, I think, just to get the compromise from brake support to actually getting the bike to turn.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
We've made a change. Hopefully that'll be a step in the right direction.
Yeah, a bit of an improvement. You think with the rear we can also try and explore a little bit as well with the support, or you think this base setup is good?
I mean, for me, the rear seems like everything's positive.
Yeah.
Any negatives at the moment, so I would concentrate on the front and
Yeah.
just try and keep it simple at the moment, one step at a time.
Yeah,
Try
yeah.
and understand the changes.
Yeah,
Let's
okay.
make the front work a bit better, and then we'll go to the rear.
Yeah, because you check how much margin was there after the second run.
We've still got about another 15 millimeters of stroke.
Yes, we could quite a lot. I mean, this would mean that we're quite way away with the setup. Yeah, still that we got margin for improvement.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, as you start to ride a bit harder,
Yeah,
we might use more stroke just from the riding.
this is quite impressive, no? Straight away.
Yeah, it's a big step.
Yeah, yeah. I'm surprised by this, to be honest. I thought on a small track like this there would be really marginal gains, and it was more about the feel.
Yeah.
But I'm really surprised with this. So yeah, positive start of the test. Yeah. So tire-wise, I've fitted the same OEM tires as I had before. This was just to make a test that that would be the best possible, not change any variables, just change the suspensions. And at the moment, I'm still running the tire in because there's not many two left turns here, and I'm just leaning it, tiptoeing it. I've only done about 10 laps. So the feeling is positive, but there is definitely a lot of margin for improvements. So we came to Malloy Park today for a full day testing in order to test the FKR forks, front forks, the Etx Gp Shock, and also the ÖHLINS steering damper. So we started the day with the recommended setting from ÖHLINS, and we ended up changing a bit the setting. So please, Andy, could you take us through what we did on the bike today?
Yeah, well, your initial feeling was that the bike felt planted. It was a positive feeling, but it seemed like we just needed to use a bit more stroke in the front. You know, the braking stability was good, but just maybe a little bit on the firm side. So we've dropped the spring rate, and we've also opened the compression up.
So with the spring, we went to 9.5, is that right?
We changed it into a 9.5 just in one side.
Yes.
So the combined rate's 9.75.
And then the compression, you also opened a few clicks as
We
well.
opened from 14 to 18 clicks.
Yeah, just to try and get it to stroke a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ride height, we stayed exactly the same. Now the ride height, I already modified it on my standard bike. I was already, I dropped the forks by 12 millimeters, effectively raising the bike in the front by 12 millimeters. And that gave me a good feeling. So we're exactly at the same position. On the rear part of the bike, now I was very happy with the feeling with the rear shock, the TTA shock. So we actually didn't change the setting. We stayed with 110 rear spring, and we stayed also with the compression click, so 12 for the damping and 14 for the compression. Now these clicks are from the completely closed position, so basically they are like you open 12 clicks. On the rear height though, we didn't change anything either.
No, that's standard as it comes out of the box.
Yeah, so the shock just came and gave the same rear height as the standard one.
Yeah.
So basically it was just the shock just giving more support and making me feel better in the corners. Another modification we did for the front, because I wanted to feel a bit more in the bottom of the stroke, we also took some oil off. By doing that, we are allowing the fork to stroke a little bit more at the bottom, giving me a little bit more feedback. So what were the numbers on that, Andy?
Standard is 180 millimeters air gap, and now we're at 240 millimeters.
Oh yeah, so quite a good step.
Yeah, big step. Yeah.
And this is a setting that, for example, the guys that race with the FKR fork,
In the stock class, yeah, that's pretty close to what
so we're on the ballpark with the racing guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that made a lot of sense. From these settings, I did feel better and I did improve my lap times through the day. And it was actually quite surprising because, to be honest, I was expecting a feel difference. I wasn't expecting a massive performance difference. And when I came here back in March, I did push from some really hard lap times. I ended up doing a 54.96, which was nearly a 55-second flat. Today, I went down and I was quite regular with it as well. Best lap time 53.5, so it's a second and a half faster, which is a lot on a small track like here. So not only the bike felt more planted, it also was quite a bit faster. So it's been a massive day on track today. I'm actually really tired. We've done quite a few laps and a lot of hard work to set the suspension, and it's really, really interesting, but really full on. We are now back in my man cave to take a look a little bit more in details at what happened today. You know, take a step back and we're gonna have a look at the datas. So I recorded datas for my fastest lap with the standard road bike and for my fastest lap with the all-in suspension bike. By the way, after the conclusion that you've seen, I did go for one last run to try and improve the time. I felt like there was a little bit of time to gain. I made a small mistake and I thought, yeah, I can gain quite a little bit. So I did go for that last run. And you should not do that. You should never do that because the last run is always something bad happens. But I did take the risk and I did improve my time as well by a couple of times. So I ended up with the all-in setup with a 53.3. Now to put these lap times into perspective, the outright lap record in Mallory Park is a 50.5 and it was done with a full-on superbike with sticky tires. With the road bike, standard road bike, 54.9, so we are 4.4 seconds away. With the all-in suspended road bike, 53.3, so we are 2.8 seconds away. So I effectively gained 1.6 seconds just by swapping the suspensions for all-ins, which is a massive gain, you know, around a small track like Mallory Park. So effectively, I've reduced the gap to the lap record by changing the suspension by over 35%. So let's take a look now on the datas at where and how I gained time with the all-in suspensions. So let's take a look at the datas. So these are GPS datas, and in red here we have my best lap with the all-in suspension. So you can see it here, it's a 53.48. Now I actually went faster than that in the last run, but I didn't have the GPS on. So we'll take that. It's a good lap anyway, and we can see enough on that lap. And then the 54.9 here, that was my best lap with the standard road bike. So this is in white. So here at the top here, we have the longitudinal acceleration. So this is effectively the G-forces. So positive here when you accelerate, and then negative here when you brake. You can see minus 1.5 G, minus 1.395, minus 1.6.5. And then when you accelerate here, it goes into positives. And then here is the speed. So in red, the speed of the fastest lap with the all-ins bike, and in white, the speed of the standard bike with the standard suspension. So, I mean, it's quite obvious where I gain time. You can see that I'm a little bit faster in the straight because probably I exited a bit better the corner that goes into the straight before. For braking for Gerard's, a little bit more confidence releasing the brake here. You see more speed, 145 versus 142, that's kilometer per hour. So faster with the all-ins bike. And then the big difference is in Gerard. So turn one is a very long turn where you're just leaning a lot. And actually I could add the lean angle on this. Here it is. So that's the lean angle. So you can see here, for example, I'm leaning 48 degrees, 48.9 with the all-ins bike and 47 with the standard suspension. So more leaning all the way here, you see. More leaning, more leaning. More leaning in a corner entry as well here, closing the turn. So a bit everywhere, more leaning, you know, on the apex is 42 versus 41. More leaning here as well. Not on the hairpin, I'm 51. And then I lean a bit later because I brought really late, 51 as well. So this is similar. So yeah, in Gerard's turn one, more speed. Look, this is quite big. This is the exit of Gerard's 172 km/h versus 164. So just more support in the rear. So I'm able to use more power and have more speed. And the G-forces are greater as well. You see the red is kind of always on top of the white here. So this means that in average, the G-force that I'm putting through the acceleration basically is stronger with the all-in suspension. You can see that here as well, all the way except here, but this is where I lose. This is the only place where I lose a bit of time. I made a bit of a mistake here. I want a little bit wider to roll off. But then here, every time I get on the throttle, you see on the throttle at the exit of the hairpin, I'm hitting like 1 G here with the all-ins bike, where with the other one I'm like 0.9, 0.7, 8 at the same place. So yeah, quite a big difference in that. And this is just great, allowing me to accelerate harder. Then in the Devil's Elbow, the last corner, same again, very similar to Gerard's, where I'm able to have more acceleration, more speed, more support from the rear. In braking, I gain as well in turn 2. Now in braking, I felt limited by the ABS. Really, I felt like I could not use the full potential of the ÖHLINS forks because of the ABS. And I felt that as well, to be fair, with the standard bike as well. On track, the ABS just holds you back a little bit. It's not massive, but it does hold you back. But still, with the ÖHLINS fork, I can brake better. See, in the braking zones, I'm faster, 160. And I have a better ability to shred the speed than coming in, because here then the speed is very, very similar. And acceleration here is better as well. You see the G-force higher, always on top, and more speed here, 189 versus 182, well, need 183. So yeah, we can see on data clearly that the ÖHLINS suspensions just gave me more potential. Right guys, I hope you enjoyed that video as much as I enjoyed doing it. It was an absolute blast, and I'll see you soon on my YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and to like and leave some messages. Any questions, I'll try to answer to everybody. So see you soon. See you guys.